Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome into the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. I'm Eric Kane alongside Austin Price and Brent Hubbs. Fall camp, it's going on. 6 practices in the books. Practice number 7 is coming up tomorrow, and the first scrimmage is coming up on Saturday. We got news and notes, observations, videos, takeaways, nuggets, all that and more on the General's Quarters. So no better time to join us than right now over at volquest.com. All right, so what we do each and every Thursday, we take mailbag questions from subscribers. So we'll jump down into 45 and 5. Call your shot. First, who was the starting offensive line on August the 30th?
I'll go Hurd, Moy, Pendleton, Perry, Sanders.
I think those are the 5 that will be the best 5 coming out of fall camp. The question is, does the lack of experience on the right side tweak them into putting Sham at guard instead of Perry? It certainly feels like everybody believes in Jesse Perry right now. So I would lean towards Austin. My only hesitation in that is I couched my bet, Eric Kane, which I'm known to do, right? I'm very good at playing both sides, right, AP? That's what you like to say. Would be the fact that there would be virtually no experience. Not that Sham's got a lot, but he's been in the program a little longer. Maybe there's a little more experience if Sham is at right guard beside David Sanders as opposed to Perry. I think their best 5 is what Austin just mentioned.
Here's my caveat to that. I think your notion is fine, but you started it with the best 5 coming out of fall. If it is apples to oranges, the experience part does play a role in Sham's favor more so than because you would move Moy to the right side alongside David Sanders, so you wouldn't have like total inexperience on the right side. But if what you said to begin with is true and it's truly their best 5, I think that's who plays.
Yeah, I mean, if in the scrimmages and the work here, Jesse Perry has run with it, Eric, and been one of their 2 best guards, I think they'll put experience aside and go play with their best 5 there. Because as we've talked about with the quarterbacks, look, man, players they know who the best players are. And so I think that's something you always consider when you're putting your lineups together. And it feels like this coaching staff on offense is being forced to get more comfortable with young guys.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out about Sham. Like, it's kind of like Merklinger and Aguilar or McIntyre. It's kind of like the quarterbacks. Like, sure, Merklinger has another year of experience in the system, but he doesn't have any experience. I mean, that's kind of where Sham is. That's kind of how I think about Sham, too. It's like, he's been here longer. I get that, but if it's apples to oranges, just go with the guy that's going to help you, be the best offensive line out of the gate. So
and by the way, and I know that you've got your story on Jesse Perry going, but I mean, how good of a get was that for Tennessee, and good of an evaluation was that for Tennessee? I mean, that was not an easy eval. We talk all the time about linemen being hard evals, just in general, but to evaluate a guy who didn't pass protect, played tackle, to be a pass protecting interior offensive line at the power 4 level. That's pretty solid evaluation work by Tennessee to find and to be able to project that. And to Jesse Perry's credit, he is absolutely overachieved to this point, probably where everybody thought he would be development wise.
Yeah, AP, you can shine some more light on the actual recruitment, but in the quotes from his high school coach in the story and quotes from Glenn Ellerby that he told Volquest this week, it's like, sure, he didn't pass pro an awful lot in high school, but you could see the physical traits on tape. You could see, okay, this guy moves really well. This guy's got good footwork. This guy can change directions in a hurry. And then Glenn Ellerby said that they kind of put everybody through like a mental test, during the recruiting process. And he was off the charts. He was like, I mean, he's smart, he's athletic, and then if you have those 2 things, you can figure it out. You're going to give yourself a chance, and that's obviously where he is now. And I remember being there, taping the 2-minute drill some point in time last fall, AP, and he walks up, and I'm just like, oh my God, who is that? He's put on a ton of weight. He looks great. And then, he's put in the work as well, changing his body nearly, 50 pounds, I think he said the other day. He looks good. He has every opportunity to play this season for Tennessee.
Yeah, and isn't fat at all. I mean, like, he weighs about 320 and
he's like 6'7" too.
Like,
I mean,
he's 290.
Yeah, he towers over people, so he looks good. The second one here from 45 and 5. Second, who is this year's Hyatt, Wright, Tillman, etc.? who's this year's playmaker that maybe bursts onto the scene in a breakout manner, I guess is how I would kind of phrase that, because nobody's winning the BlaytonK here, I don't think,
Well, it's hard to say any of those receivers because they can't stay healthy and stay on the field. So it's
Yeah.
it's and I'm not going to pick any true freshmen because I don't think that they count in this deal. I'm going to say Ethan Davis has a chance to really take off this year at the tight end spot. And then I think Peyton Lewis. I think Deshaun Bishop's going to be steady Eddie all year. I think Peyton Lewis has that chance to kind of be the gear above, when he's playing well. So again, I think this whole offense, Brent, for me is going to be more by committee. It may be a different superstar every week. I don't think you're going to sit there and rely on the same one or two people like maybe they did last year with Dylan Sampson or in other years.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, you know what you have in Deshaun Bishop. I'm not saying he's not going to be better, but to me, he's already proven himself. When you talk about what these guys are talking about, I mean, Cedric Tillman, obviously that was year one. Eric, there was no way to prove himself. I mean, Jalen Hyatt was on transfer watch to January of 22 before he blew up that season and won the BlaytonK award. Jalen Wright was just kind of an unproven guy. He wasn't the most focused guy and all those types of things. So to me, those are more out of the blue guys. And if you're going to say a quote out of the blue guy, I don't think you can put Bishop in that conversation. Maybe that's Peyton Lewis. I don't disagree with that one. I am fascinated by the Ethan Davis deal. How do they use Ethan Davis? How do they use this entire tight end group? And maybe I'm overhyping them. Maybe I'm buying too much into that group. They've just been, to me, because one, they've all been out there.
They're healthy.
And two, they've been, to me, the most consistent group. And I can't judge offensive linemen, so I'm taking them out of the equation. But everything else, they've been the most consistent group on the practice field and the stuff that we get to watch.
Yeah, I mean, again, at the time of this recording, they've had one full padded practice, and I've been as high on the tight ends as you, if not more. And it's like, well, you might want to slow your roll. They've had one full padded practice, but they've looked good, man. You hear good things about them. They've looked good. And to Austin's point, they're out there, and we get to see them. And, showing up's half the battle sometimes, right? We'll move on to NjVolsfan 95. Emmanuel Okoye keeps getting shown on the practice highlights, and he certainly looks the part. How is his football development going? Do we think he has a chance to be a contributor before his eligibility is up?
Yeah, I think there's a possibility there, Brent. I obviously don't think there was ever a possibility at tight end, as much as Abel loved him up there in that first fall camp. I mean, he is an athletic specimen, but as Chop pointed out, he has missed a ton of time due to injury. So just getting back out there and being present at practice is the first step. Do I think he's going to play over the top three? No, but can he give you a rep or two from time to time? I think absolutely he could.
I think for him, this is kind of what you wanted a healthy redshirt year to be a year ago, right? Like get him in the game in week 2 against ETSU and just let him start to figure it out. Get some reps when you've got a lead there and start to figure that out. Is he going to play meaningful snaps against Georgia in week 3? I don't see that at this point. Now, the question was in his career. In his career, I think it's possible if he stays healthy. He's still got so much to learn about football. I think that's the thing that gets lost when you say, for example, Davin Hobbs misses 2 springs, 2 off seasons. That's big for physical strength development, as Rodney Gardner talked about on Monday. For Emmanuel Okoye, missing 2 spring practices and a fall camp, that's not just about physical development. That's about learning the game of football. And he was so raw when he came in. He had so much to learn. Losing those 2 years, man, he is playing such catch up to the understanding the game of football. It goes beyond his physical skill, in my opinion.
I do wonder though, how much can you learn if you're actually out there and you're watching it? I mean, I think you can learn from the classroom.
Yeah,
you can learn it, but you got to do it. I
think he needed to learn it from the classroom too. I think it was. What Brent's saying is absolutely right. You have to learn how to practice, learn how to use your club hand or whatever you're doing coming off the edge. But he needs just to learn generic football too, because he hadn't played it but 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he needed to learn rules of the game and that type of thing. But there's also, and I don't know how he learns. There are guys who learn different ways. Some guys can learn by sitting in a room and being on a blackboard and watching film and taking notes, and that's how it works. Other guys learn through action, just walkthroughs. I mean, think about this: the guy was on a cart for forever, so he wasn't even getting those types of things a year ago when they were sort of walking through stuff and he was trying to make the adjustment to the defensive side of the ball. So I just think I think he learned some things about football. I just still think he has a lot to learn mentally as he continues to improve physically. He's put on weight. He looks good. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He looks good. It's just he's playing a new position in a game that he fully doesn't understand. So I just don't know how far along mentally he is. Be interesting to see what Chop can get out of him and how much they can kind of work him in when games present itself, just so he can get his feet wet, learn, and go from there. Because I think you've got to do those things to keep him engaged at this point, right? I mean, I think you have to, when you're in a blowout situation in a game that you've got under control, get him more than 5 snaps. Like, get him in there to get him to feel it so that he can go back to practice and go, oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about here, there, and all that kind of stuff.
This reminds me of, I guess it had to be the 2022 season, Jackson Ross's first season with Tennessee, and somebody threw a flag, like, in one of the games, and he didn't know what that was. He'd never seen it before. It's like someone had to explain to me what a flag was, what a penalty was. Like, man, that is learning the game of football for sure. Big Murph 68, confidence level, weekly confidence level with percentages, AP, in landing Hyder, Keys, or both.
Oh, here we go, AP.
Yeah, nothing's changed for me. I've said, you take everything on Hyder with a grain of salt. Or as they say on the GQ, a grain of salt. The kid doesn't talk. The family doesn't talk. So Tennessee feeling good is based off of their conversations. Michigan feeling good is based off their conversations. I still think that there's a better than 50% chance he picks Tennessee. That could change, though. I mean, you never know. I mean, I as of right now, there's nothing that's changing my mind there. As for Keys, I know what's been put out there from the national side of things. The question is when does he do something? I think if he was going to do something like early and not wait till deep in the fall, it would probably happen before his high school season starts. So that's coming up. After that, I think you're looking at him taking a bunch of visits and going that route. But I said earlier this week, I thought there was a better than 50% chance he decommits from LSU or just flips. I don't think he'll decommit. I think he'll just more likely just flip to a school, but won't end up at LSU. And then I think that his relationships at Tennessee are better than the ones at Texas A&M. So I would take Tennessee as the favorite to land Tristen Keys. Again, there's been a lot of chatter out there in May, a lot of chatter out there in June, a lot of chatter out there in July. He's yet to ever do anything. So is it all just chatter, or does he eventually get to the point where he crosses the finish line? I just think if he does cross the finish line, Tennessee's in the best shape, and I still feel like he's going to cross the finish line at some point or another.
Yeah, I think the question. I mean, with Hyder, we know when it's going to happen.
That's right.
You got a date, so and we know whenever he does something, he's done. He's not. There's no wishy-washy, flipping, flopping back on that deal. I think with Keys, the whole question right now, beyond percentages of things, is just what's the plan look like? What's his plan for how he manages between now and December and signing day from a recruiting standpoint? When does he want to do something? Does he want to do it and get it over with? Is he going to do it and decommit and take a bunch of visits, as Austin mentioned? I think the bigger question for him before you even get into percentages is just what's the plan? And I don't think anybody knows exactly what their plan is right now and how they're going to manage this thing the last 4 or 5 months.
Sunnyvols, do any coaches or staff members use recruiting sites like Rivals? I know they do their own recruiting and evals, obviously, but it seems like an obvious place to at least find out recruits, find out information about recruits, kind of like newspapers used to be. Also, have any of you ever had coaches reach out to you for information about a recruit?
Sure. I mean, coaches are always working every angle. They're not looking at Rivals or On3 or 24/7 or whatever, for rankings or anything like that. But they may scour the rankings just to see, is there a name out there that we haven't evaled that most of them have such meticulous, deep diving recruiting staffs, you're not going to get past them. But would they potentially look at not the rankings, but just kind of skim it, go, okay, we would look at that guy, look at that guy, look at that guy. Ooh, that's a name we've not looked at, and then watch him. Yeah, potentially.
Volnatic, what are your respective record predictions for the season? Are we going to be as mediocre as the national writers seem to believe?
4-8.
We'll do our rankings here in a couple of weeks. Our predictions here in a couple of weeks. I've said this. I like the schedule. I think the schedule sets up pretty well for Tennessee, and I think because of that, I think Tennessee will be better than some national pundits think Tennessee will be when you do if you do a deep dive on Tennessee. I think that it's easy to put Tennessee where a lot of people are putting them because they look at what they've lost, what they're replacing on offense. I don't think the defense got enough credit for what they did a year ago. Everybody goes, oh, okay, their $2 million quarterback walked out and left them. They had to scramble to get a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. They're replacing 4 starters on the offensive line. They're not going to be very good. I think that's an easy pick. I mean, I think that's an easy thing to do without really deep diving into the team, when you go into that. So are they going to be, are they going to be a top 5 team in the country? I don't think that, but I do think they'll ultimately end up being better than a top 19th or 20th in the country ultimately.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I know we're not giving our records, but I'm still not sure where I'm going with this thing because I think it just depends solely on. I think they're going to be as good, if not better, at every position. I just don't know about quarterback, and I don't know about receiver. There's so much unknown there, and more so at receiver. Just the unknown of players who have not played, who seemingly can't stay on the field, the practice field, because they're banged up. That's what gives me pause about this team. Because I've said for a while, if Kelsey's group performs well and the quarterback performs well, this team has a real chance to be really good. I just don't know. To me, we're 7 days into fall camp or whatever. I still don't know.
Well, and Eric, we're getting ready to move into that phase of camp where you start picking every scab, and you pick it apart to where, because you're seeing the same things over and over. You pick it apart to the point that you know what I mean. Like they're not any good anywhere when you get to there. And so I'm with AP. I mean, I think there's still a lot of unknown. I'm very fascinated to hear what the feedback is off of Saturday's scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have a better feel after they scrimmage and you hear that feedback. And, of course, the more full padded practices, 11-on-11 stuff they do. End of the day, though, and Brent, you brought this up. I mean, you don't want to go, flaunting this, right? And again, I'm not going to call any schedule that has Alabama, Florida, and Georgia on it easy because it's not. Your schedule's going to help you out here. Your schedule's going to help you out. I mean, going to Mississippi State, going to Kentucky. Arkansas is a game you better win. Vanderbilt. I mean, there's some games on here that you need to be handling some business. So I think the schedule is going to help you out. And so I think that's the part of this Tennessee conversation. And I agree. I think it's so easy to look at losing Nico, SEC Player of the Year, James Pearson. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense. I get it. But dive down deep into the stats, and Nico's stats were game manager. Okay, he made a couple of plays, but his stats were game manager-esque. And you look at this schedule, and I think that's going to work in Tennessee's favor for sure. Let's go. This is from NjVolsfan. Can you clarify the On3 Rivals merger, how it's going to impact Volquest and On3? For example, I feel like I read articles now with all the recruiting rankings referencing Rivals. What is it going to look like when all the dust is settled?
No, it's not going to change. I mean, the rankings and the recruiting is going to be under the masthead of Rivals, and Rivals is going to have its place in recruiting where it's been for 3 decades. On3 is going to be probably more talked about from a national college football coverage, NIL coverage, administrative kind of bigger picture stuff there. But it's all in harmony. I mean, for a Volquest subscriber, you're not gonna notice. The only thing you're going to notice different as a Volquest subscriber is you're going to notice more, right? There's going to be more because there's more recruiting writers, there's more recruiting coverage, there's more national recruiting coverage. I mean, bringing on Josh Pate and then bringing in Brett McMurphy, and there'll be more to come as well. I mean, when you talk about all those things, the added value to the subscriber. And here's my plug 20 minutes into the Mailbag podcast. If you're not a subscriber and you just watch us on YouTube, you're missing out. You're missing out on a ton of coverage, not just from us, but everything that encompasses Rivals and On3, I mean, it's no longer, well, you get all your recruiting coverage here and then you go somewhere else to get something. It is all encompassing under On3. And obviously your Tennessee coverage through Volquest. There's my plug for the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest thing to look at is, the recruiting is under the Rivals umbrella, as Brent said, but it's all still On3. Like it's to put it in early 2000s wrestling terms, it's like when ECW got bought by WWE, and there was an ECW program, but it was still a WWE program. It's still On3 programming. It's just under an umbrella with the label Rivals for recruiting.
Nosman 87, can we expect an extension for Josh Heupel during the season?
It's a great question. It doesn't feel like it. I don't know why you wouldn't have already done it. I don't know why you wait and do one in season. The Tennessee's done in season contract adjustments before, so it wouldn't be out of the norm for
with
that.
This administration?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go back and look, I think his contract deal in 2022 was. I want to say late.
That was like
it was late. It was an in-season deal, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a September deal. So there's a history of that. But we'll see. I mean, I don't.
But would Josh Heupel agree after he didn't get one after he went to the playoffs? Would you play it out? Would you play it out, Brent?
Yeah, but how does it help you to play it out? You got 4 years left. It's not like you're at the end of your deal and you play it out that way. At this point, I don't feel like it, because I think if you were going to do one, you would already have it done. But here's what we know about Tennessee. Contract extensions at Tennessee, with the exception of Kim Caldwell, have been lengthy to get done. I mean, Tony Vitello we wrote about Tony Vitello getting an extension they're working on it in April, and I think it was finalized in August.
To the point where we got made fun of for saying dotting I's and crossing T's.
Yeah, I mean,
in reality,
there were more I's in that contract than any contract in the history of man to be dotted.
Let's put it this way. When I left Omaha, I had that whole thing written with a blank to where I fill in the years and a blank to where I can fill in the money. I already had it ready to say he's going to be the highest paid coach in college baseball. I mean, that thing was done on our side, when I left Omaha. And it wasn't for well into camp, about a month and a half later when it was official. So
the only I that got dotted in that contract was the one in Jimmy, and the only T was the one in Sexton.
Yeah, no doubt. I do think you're right, Brent, because I think the Heupel extension came right when we moved to On3, so that would have been September.
I think one of them did. I don't know which one, but I do think there was an extension at that point announced late, which is, again, we'll see. I mean, at this point, I would think if you were going to do one, you would have already done it. But again, I've learned that they seem to happen at random times around here for whatever reason.
How late can the league realistically wait to finalize the 2026 league schedule?
I mean, are you going to go 8 games or 9 games? You got to get that figured out first, right?
Kentucky says 8.
Do what?
But Kentucky says 8.
If you're staying at 8, which is kind of what it feels like, although you got the Big Ten and the SEC and all those battles on what you're going to. Because isn't it early December when you're talking about the December the 1st on the college football playoff, whether it's going to change or not? Okay, well, I think it's pretty clear if it's going to expand, that's going to mean the SEC is going to 9 games. At least that's what it feels like, unless there's some shift here that takes place this fall. I would think that it's got to get done sooner rather than later, because here's the other part of this. Schools book travel this fall for next year. I mean, they're blocking off hotels. I mean, there's a lot of ops people going, the same way coaches are going, can we get when the transfer portal window is going to be? The ops people are going, any chance we can figure out where we're traveling to next year so I can start putting a plan together for where we're going to stay.
And baseball coaches saying, how many players going to have on my roster next year?
Listen, the fact of the matter is the people running leagues, the people running the NCAA and college athletics in general, they don't work on the same time frame as the people who are doing the work seem to work on. So we'll see. I mean, they've only been talking about the league for 3 years on what the next gen of the schedule is going to look like. So I don't know, maybe first of the year, they got to get it together at some point, don't they, AP, for the made for television event for the league reveal?
I still think November.
November? Okay.
I say November.
All right.
In my mind, I always think they gotta have some finality to the college football playoff expansion. 14-16, when's it happening? And then the SEC will come back with, okay, well, here's what it is. But are they going to go all the way until December 1st, which is the cutoff? Can that announcement be made sometime in October? I mean, you hope. Right. In my mind, I feel like that's the order of operations. But again, maybe I'm wrong. MindVol, who are the top 2 to 3 quarterback recruits for the 2027 class on Tennessee's big board? AP, obviously, Tennessee, big-time target quarterback of the 2027 class is off the board now, committing to Texas A&M.
Yeah. They like the Ziegler kid from Louisiana. He was here for camp back in, July or June, at the end of June for Night at Neyland. But that one doesn't feel like it's Tennessee to me. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. They're evaluating a few. I don't think it will be in the same realm as the Faison. I think they'll probably go middle tier quarterback in 27. And then gear back up for a big quarterback in 28. If I was a guessing man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. I think it's hard to get a big name quarterback when you look at McIntyre's on your roster and Faison's coming in. I don't know that anybody's jumping in immediately to be a part of that competition. Being a year or two behind in the competition, those guys don't want to sit, and so we'll see. I'm with AP. It feels like this one's going to be a lesser ranked guy and then cycle back up for a big timer, I guess, in 28, trying to keep your cycle or your clock together as best you can.
Tooth Doc, can you explain the Adidas deal in detail to the best of your knowledge? Are UT players allowed to sign individual sponsorships with Adidas like Tristen Keys has? Are there restrictions on how certain funding can be used for NIL, or is this more of a case where Danny White is securing as much money as possible now and figuring out how to allocate it later?
Oh, I mean, I think we don't know exactly. I do think there's the NIL component in it for Adidas athletes, and that can include some current players potentially. I think that component of it is why this did not get done. When we thought it was going to maybe get done early part of July. I think there's been some discussions and I don't want to say haggle points. I don't think it's that, but I think there's been some clear kind of layout and discussion on how that part of it's going to work. I think fans need to understand that part of it is a big part of this deal, to the point that, maybe there's going to be some disappointed people because there's not just going to be this $30 million bonus check given, backed up and the Brinks truck is dumped, because some of that stuff I think is going to be conveyed in some NIL stuff and, athlete type things that you're seeing, with some current players in Adidas. So I do think we're, again, much like the Vitello contract, I do think we're near the finish line. I would think sometime probably next week would be the hope that is done. And we'll see. We'll get details on exactly what that's going to look like. I do think there's a big NIL component to it. I think that's been one of the more attractive things that's been a part of this negotiation going forward.
Volunteer 14, do you see any potential first-round picks on the roster other than McCoy for the upcoming draft? AP, for the upcoming draft, I'd probably say no.
Yeah, I would say no, but you have to let the year play out.
True.
I mean, how many times have you seen, let's say Ricky Gibson goes out and has a fantastic year, stays healthy, he's now up over 185 pounds, goes out and balls out against really good competition, shuts down some really good receivers. Who's to say that he can't go flying up there? There are possibilities there, but I think a lot of it depends on who has a great year, right?
Was Darnell a first rounder the summer before that last year?
No.
I don't think so.
Do you think he was?
No, I think he was fringe, and then he played himself. I think he was at worst a day 2 pick, and then played himself into the first round.
Yeah. I think he played himself into the first round, and then he tested himself into the top 10 at the combine, is I think what happened with Darnell Wright. Right now, I would say outside of McCoy, no, and I think McCoy's got to show he's 100% healthy and back to be there. But outside of McCoy right now, I would say no.
BlaytonK, what games do you believe are circled on Coach Josh Heupel's calendar this year?
All of them. I mean,
The first game of the season.
Every coach has got to. I mean, they're all big. They're all important.
Brent, a couple of years ago, South Carolina, right? A couple of years ago, Oklahoma last year. Like anything.
I'm sure Arkansas, because they lost that game. I mean, Georgia's going to be on there. Florida, because you haven't won down there. But I mean, it's no different. I mean, it's the conference games. It's the bigger games. This head coach likes bigger games better than anybody I've covered in a while. He does not like the game where he's heavily favored, and he just those games just. I mean, he likes it when they're doubted. He likes it when it's a more of an even type matchup.
He ought to love this season, Hubs. He ought to be fired up.
Or there's a revenge factor to it somewhere along the way. Those are kind of the ones that get him going.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Home Field Apparel, the exclusive apparel sponsor of Volquest.com. Football season just around the corner. You can almost smell it in the air, right? And if you're heading out to Neyland Stadium this football season, you need to be decked out in style thanks to Home Field Apparel. Can't miss kickoff 2025 campaign. You get football boxes, coaches' jackets, bomber jackets, and so much more. The football box is never before seen items for the University of Tennessee that are not available anywhere else, right? They're curated so fans have new gear to wear all season long, suitable for all conditions. If you go follow Home Field Apparel on X today, the final set of boxes, those football boxes, are being revealed. Tennessee's box is going to be revealed. So go check it out today at Home Field Apparel on X and check out what is in that Tennessee theme, that Tennessee curated football box. So much going on at Home Field Apparel right now. You can check it all out. Home Field Apparel, of course, is the collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. Their focus is on creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. There's a wide range of available colleges. Of course, you want Tennessee, right? But they do 180 plus, right? And continuing to do more. You can find all this and more at homefieldapparel.com to get started today. Go check out Home Field Apparel on X and see what's in that Tennessee coaches box going to be unveiled today as homefieldapparel.com. The ADaug, other than Tim Banks, which assistant coach is likely to become a head coach one day?
Great question. I mean, the defensive side, besides Tim, they're all kind of older guys. I don't really see it out of any of those guys.
There's not an obvious one.
Offensively, I would say nobody.
Yeah. I mean, right now I would say that there's not anybody there certainly close right now.
I mean, Joey potentially, but his offenses and everything's going to have to, he's going to need several more years. To put it in Hub's terms, he's going to have to stack years, not just
he's going to have to stack some seasons. Yes.
Hey, now I heard a couple of players today say stack days on days.
Yeah, but Hub's got the talking point. He's like the national media when it comes to politics.
Thanks. Yeah, let me take my mouthpiece out, AP. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, we'll go to Nugaval 200. You guys have noted several times that the national narrative is that Tennessee lost so much they're not going to be very good. Are you guys, especially Rob, not doing the same thing with Syracuse, setting up a scenario where we could overlook the other shade of orange? I thought this is a really good question. I mean, I think I've said a couple of times, maybe on Locked On Vols and here, like, I understand Tennessee's going to have questions. I understand that there's going to be a lot of those that aren't going to be answered, but that Syracuse team, I just don't think it's good. I think Tennessee, from a roster standpoint, is just going to –
the depth.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's just going to beat the crap out of them, honestly. But maybe I am overlooking. But you look at Syracuse, lost a quarterback that was all-world, your top 2 leading rushers, your tight ends of the NFL, your top 3 leading wide receivers. The defense wasn't good to begin with. They didn't add hardly anything via the transfer portal. Like, I understand Tennessee's got a lot of questions, Brent, but I don't think Syracuse – great year last year. I think Fran Brown did an exceptional job. I don't think Syracuse is going to be good this year, and I think Tennessee – is going to have their way with them on the neutral side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Syracuse. Last year they beat a ranked opponent and 24th ranked UNLV 44-41 in overtime. Their biggest win, their best win was the Miami game late, which Miami gagged. That's the only 2 ranked opponents that they beat last year. It's the only 2 ranked opponents that they played last year. I think that they had a good year. I think Fran Brown's done a really good job. I think they're replacing a lot. I think that their record, they didn't. The schedule they played last year wasn't comparable to Tennessee's schedule, and so from that standpoint, I think it feels different now. I would be more worried about this game if it were played in November and you were sandwiching it around some other SEC games. I mean, if you're overlooking your season opener, then somebody's done a really poor job in fall camp. When you have all the questions that you have, trying to find a quarterback, you're replacing 4 starters on the offensive line, I can understand overlooking somebody if you're a preseason top 5 team and you're playing somebody. We see those type games that end up being closer than they should. But Tennessee's not in a position they ought to be overlooking anybody right now with all they're trying to get answers to start this season.
Yeah. Again, I thought that was a good question because I understand where the poster's coming from. I don't try to act like I know Syracuse roster like I know Tennessee's roster, but I know Tennessee's roster. And from a depth perspective and from an experience perspective in a number of spots, it's really good. And that's, the national media doesn't understand that because they're not on the day-to-day like we are. And that just kind of comes from being on the beat. So
yeah, I thought if McCoy had come back at quarterback for Syracuse, that would be a different type of feeling game. When he left, I thought that was a good day for Tennessee because I liked that kid's game. He wasn't ready for the NFL. He made a mistake by going out, but I thought he made a lot of plays kind of on his own last year for Syracuse because it seemed like they played a lot of Friday night games. I got to see them more than some other teams, it felt like. And I thought there were times where he just kind of manufactured plays for them with his arm strength and then just kind of his mobility. So I thought his departure was a big deal for Syracuse.
NjVol 615's got a couple status update on the following defensive linemen. Carson Gentle, Kellen Lindstrom. We've already talked about Okoye. I'll break these down. AP, Lindstrom's with the Leos, Gentle's on the other side. Have you heard anything about those two guys?
No, not much. I mean, I see him out there, but I'm not heard of him.
We spoke on Emmanuel Okoye, Nathan Robinson. Hubs, you've said it numerous times. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a factor for Tennessee for sure.
Well, I thought Rodney made it very clear on Wednesday when he met with the media. He knows where he's at with his top 3 and the interior defensive lineman, and then it becomes a question mark of how does that back group sort itself out. Nathan Robinson, Jamal Wallace, Ethan Utley, Isaiah Campbell, Josh Snell, looking for a couple of guys out of those 5. So what do you got to do to be one of those guys out of the top 5? Well, you got to play well, and in order to play well, you got to be on the practice field. And so I think it starts there. That's going to be a heck of a competition for the back half of that rotation out of those bodies there, because I don't think Utley and Campbell are going away. I think they're only going to get better and better. So if you're a returning player on that roster who hasn't done much to this point, you can't miss a beat, because I don't think Utley and Campbell are going to go away. I think they're talented, and I think they're coming. So to hold them off and be in the rotation, you're going to need to perform well. Big scrimmage for that group of guys behind Hobbs, Eason, and Jackson Moy.
Yeah, the back part of this one says, who of this group can break into the rotation? Obviously, Nathan Robinson, Jamal Wallace could. Nathan Robinson could break into the rotation. I don't think Lindstrom and Okoye, but Carson Gentle, and I know it's not a true first string, second string, third string like how Rodney does it, but AP, if you're stacking the strong side defensive end, I mean, you're going Dominic Bailey, Tyree West, Tyree Weathersby, and then you would think about Carson Gentle or somebody else. So, I mean, again,
I think you gotta put Marion Dye in there.
Yeah.
I mean, with in terms of your top, 4 guys there. Again, that's the beauty of that position. Of all the positions on the field, there are spots. There's some competition on the interior of the offensive line. There's not great competition on at the tackle spot, in my opinion, but there's some competition on the interior. When you look at the competition, where's the most competition at? It's on the defensive line. And that's the development that they have and the fact that they play a lot of bodies and they've got bodies. You better, again, no off days there. They're just not going to be any off days because I don't think those upper tier guys are going to give you are going to give you a real crack. I don't think they're going to, if they stay healthy, I don't think any of them, I think Dominique Bailey understands he's got to come to work every day. He can be, he was walking through the complex on Wednesday, right, AP? And it was like, hey, Coach Garner called you the MVP of camp. And he was just like, Yeah, I don't want to hear any of that business. Like it went in one ear and out the other because he knows he's got to come to work the next day because there's nothing guaranteed in that room when you have that kind of competition.
No, and so what have you done for me lately business.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very much so.
At this point, would you say greater than 50% chance Sam Pendleton starts at center? AP, obviously, Saturday will tell us something, not everything, but it certainly feels like they tell me if I'm off here, AP. It certainly feels like they think their best 5 is with him at center, and they're going to give him every opportunity. So, am I right in that regard? And plus, give the over 50 or not?
Yeah, I don't think anything's set in stone. I think they just want to find the best 5, and if that's Pendleton at center, it's Pendleton at center. I think the biggest thing for Pendleton is he's got to get healthy. He's been banged up a little bit the last few practices. So, if he can be healthy enough to go Saturday, I think that definitely helps him in the fight for who's Tennessee's starting center.
Which 3 to 4 players would have to get injured for you to consider this team to win less than 8 games?
I don't know about injured, but if you're talking about that, then that means you're getting really poor quarterback play. And that means you're not getting anything out of the receiver group, and you're playing offensive football with kind of one arm tied behind your back. I think you're rail thin at corner. I don't think you need a rash of injuries at corner, and I don't think you need a rash of injuries, any more injuries than you have at the wide receiver spot. So, and then you got to get quarterback play. So I don't know that that's answering the question, but that would be. To me, those are the 3 areas that I look at. I think they can be okay at linebacker. They've got enough depth on the defensive line. I think they can be okay with different combinations on the offensive line. As AP said earlier, you got to get you got to get receiver play and quarterback play. And then the one area of concern for me on defense is cornerback, particularly until McCoy is back, and we don't know when that's going to be.
What's the balance of giving wide receivers rest days and making sure they're developed into elite players? Is it not risky sitting players who haven't proven much? Yeah, I don't think anybody's giving receivers any rest. There's guys that just can't. They're not healthy right now to get out there. They don't need to miss practice, but Brent, those aren't off days, right? Those aren't maintenance days. Those are you got a little nagging injury, and you're trying to get back on the field as quickly as possible.
Well, and I think that's the perplexing part, the puzzling part, and the frustrating part for everybody right now with where this thing is in fall camp 2 weeks in, because they have built-in off days for everybody. It's 2 on, 1 off. You've gone 2 practices on and a practice off, and 2 practices on and a practice off. Those are built-in rest days. Now, they do walk-through stuff and everything, but those are built-in days to recover and get everything back, and they're still dealing with some injuries. So I think that's the frustrating part for or perplexing part for a lot of people right now with kind of where they are, particularly at the receiver position, when you look at the fact that they haven't gone 3 or 4 days in a row. So we'll see.
DaleEllisFan, any chance that Pendleton, excluding injury, is not a starter at either center or guard?
That's interesting for me, Brent, because they've not worked him in any guard. And I know he's played it before and all that, but if he didn't win the center job, do you just throw him out there at guard when he's not really played it this fall camp at all? At least through the first 6 practices, he could start working there tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. It's all relative, but if he doesn't work it at all, and you've got Perry who's had a great fall camp at guard, and you've got Sham who's competing as well, can you really just say Pendleton is just going to be a guard and you're going to be the starter? I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I would have said back in spring practice, he was going to be a starter either at guard or center. I'm not there now. I'm not as convinced there as I was. I think he's probably going to be the starter at center ultimately when they get to that point. But I don't think it's just a slide to one of the, he's going to definitely start at one of the 2, which I would have said back in spring that he would have. I think that's a credit to Sham coming on the back half of spring practice. And I think it's obviously a credit to Jesse Perry and the physicality and the way he has played at this point. It's interesting. I was worried about Perry's opportunity to be a starter because he was going to have to work so much at tackle, it was going to take him out of the guard competition. I just don't think he's allowed himself to be taken out of that competition to this point, AP, because of the way he's performed in fall camp. Now, it's only 1 day in pads. We'll see with scrimmages and everything else. But you listen to Glenn Ellerbe and other players talk, he's just done nothing but continue to insert himself into that right guard competition to the point that he's probably the front runner right now.
Absolutely. I would tell you this, too. It really would help Tennessee if Bennett Warren continues to come on, and he is the third tackle, and then Jesse Perry is the fourth tackle, and it allows Perry to be locked in a guard. You feel really good about your two deep at the tackles all of a sudden, and so on and so forth. I think as much as we talk about Moy and who the center is going to be, and Sanders and Hurd, I think quietly, unspoken, the continued development of, their third and fourth tackles, like Ben and Warren, is maybe the most important thing on the offensive line going.
Well, I think it's a third tackle. I mean, I don't know that you're going to get to 4. I think it's your third.
What I'm saying is Perry is 4.
Yeah, right.
Like,
but I'm saying a true third tackle because if Lance Hurd got hurt, you're flipping David Sanders to left.
Yes.
And if David got hurt, you have to have somebody who could slide in and play the right tackle position. Yeah, you would like to get to 4, and Perry would be your 4, but that would be more of an emergency guy at that point, and you could allow them to really focus only on the guard spot, which is what you're saying, which gets back to one thing, Eric Kane, and that's the development of Bennett Warren. Where is he at compared to – because it was going to be – if Larry Johnson had stayed, he would have been your third tackle. And Perry would have been locked in only at guard. You wouldn't even thought about him at the tackle position. Now with him there, can Bennett Warren do enough to be the third tackle and make Jesse Perry your emergency tackle ultimately?
Yeah, he seemed to be in a good space earlier in the week when he talked to us. Looked good. Said he added a ton of weight, or I guess he said that he probably dropped some weight that he didn't need. His body looks different, which is always what you want to see. So been getting some work on both sides, been primarily at left tackle the last couple of days. Brent, which one do you love most, owning Volquest or owning your farm?
I don't own the farm. I live on the farm.
So owning Volquest.
I just pay rent. No. The farm is a distraction. Sometimes too much of a distraction in June and July. But it is not the year-round deal. Obviously, my passion is Volquest. But farm life's fun. It is. We enjoy it. There are days where you're over it, but it's a great place to live. And I would struggle in subdivision life. Let's put it that way. Even though I grew up in a cul-de-sac subdivision world, that's not the way I would want to live now. I like my wide open spaces.
Southerner 98, could you ever see a UT stream become a reality? Something like Arkansas has, where the university has a paid subscription streaming platform that has inside videos on the program. I feel like that would do well with this fan base, be an additional source of revenue for them. Do you think the university has any interest in something like that?
I think those are hard to do. I really do. And I think part of the issue there, and AP, you can correct me, Eric, you can jump in here in this world too. I mean, one, you can't do recruiting. So that's a factor. And 2, you're not going to do a lot of interactive message board stuff where people can get on there and debate and discuss. I mean, the beauty of Volquest, and we write a lot of stories and we cover a lot of news, but the mainstay of Volquest has always been the community. It's the people who can go to the message board. You can have a conversation with us, but you can also have a conversation with others. Other people provide insight and those types of things. Can you really do that with a university athletic department streaming, some type of streaming platform? I don't know. I do think the university and the athletic department and the Vol Network with Mike Keith are going to provide shows on streaming platforms. What does that morph into over the years? We'll see. But is there enough there that you can give fans that it would be okay, $9.95 versus put it on a free platform and sell, corporate sponsorship for title ownership of the show? Where are you going to make more money ultimately? I think that's something that everybody's looked at, because there have been more than one school that has tried the pay platform and they've been mediocre successful at best at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I thought the free platform sell a sponsorship is kind of the easier and more attainable way to go about this, and that's what Tennessee's doing, obviously. So,
and here's the other thing with that too, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if you're going to charge money like that, and you're just providing content, there's the interactive stuff is not a real factor, or those types of things. Man, you better give them some behind the scenes stuff that you really aren't getting, which means what? Your coaches have to give you crazy access to stuff and let you be around and be involved in those things. And sometimes that's, in the day and age of NIL and everything else, that's harder to do. Hey, we're going to mic this player up. Well, this player's got deals with this people and that people. Those aren't as easy to do as they once were, I don't think.
Yeah, and also, like, say you had a panel, like the three of us right now. Say, we were on some university stream show or whatever, and it's a panel. It's also really difficult to be critical of the team or of a player or anything in that regard, because you're under the brand of the university, right? So, again, like, say you were doing this and you just come off a really bad loss, or you're on a losing streak or whatever. I mean, sometimes you just got to say what's going on. It's difficult sometimes it's difficult to do it in that space, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, a couple more here. I know we're 50 minutes in. Let's go to Dr. VFL 93. The lack of receiver depth has obviously been a recruiting talking point. More 12 personnel makes sense for sure. Do you think more two-back sets may also be utilized some, especially if they struggle to get quality play in the slot behind Staley? It would seem that both Starr and Juan Morris are made to be able to help with the passing game stuff. What say you? Yeah, I don't see two-back stuff. Sometimes they start a slot receiver in the backfield and motion them out or something, but AP, I don't see two-back stuff or anybody like that for the most part, unless it's a wrinkle.
To this point, we've not seen that.
Yeah, to this point.
Josh Heupel. And so could that be an off-season tweak? Sure, but I mean, fans tweaking and Josh Heupel tweaking are two different things. So until I see it, I will be skeptical that would be the case.
There's a lot of other questions that I wanted to get to. We just had so many, so I do apologize. But I do want to get to this one because I think this whole conversation is super interesting. I Heart Vols, let's play the VFL or not VFL game. And he's got a bunch of players listed right here, and some of them are really, really good. The first one is very interesting, and maybe this is a bigger conversation for another day, but is Ty Chandler a VFL? To me, yes. He played here for 4 years, got a degree. The only reason he didn't finish, he got a free year of eligibility, and he went somewhere else. So, to me, Ty Chandler's a VFL. Would you guys disagree?
What's your rule, AP? If they got a degree from Tennessee, they're a VFL.
Yes, absolutely. If they got a diploma, they're a VFL. I don't care where they finish their career at, or if they finish their career here, then they're a VFL. But
if their college degree says University of Tennessee, they're a VFL.
Yeah, I mean, and interesting for me, and I don't know where all other names are going, but like with Tyler Barron, I mean, he played here for 4 years. I mean, would you consider him a VFL? Now, I don't know if he got his degree or not. If he did, then I would say check. He did. Like
Jerry Garantano, 1,000% is a VFL.
Yes, I agree with that.
He earned that. Here's a good one. I might not go through all these, but like Dalton Bargo. Like, he would have been. They're just, I mean, with these crazy rules, right? It's like there wasn't a spot for him. So it's not like he was going to NC State because he wanted to be a Wolf, but he wanted to go be. I think he's fortunate to land there for sure. I think he's going to do a great job. But like, if he had it his way, he would have been drafted or back at Tennessee, in my opinion. That's an interesting one. Stephen Pearl, VFL.
Yes, because he graduated from here.
Would he claim to be a VFL right now?
No, he wouldn't. And that's,
and understandable. I mean, his dad lost his job here, so I mean, I get part of that. I mean, I think college degree factors in, as AP has said. I think the notion on it too is different. Did they get run off, or did they bolt on you? If somebody bolted on you when it got a little bit hard, I think fans are going to look at them as not a VFL. More likely to be not a VFL, even if they got a degree, versus somebody who was a casualty. Like Bargo, he was a casualty of a roster of roster cuts. It's just.
What about Dave Serrano? Well,
I mean, that's a coach. That's different. Yeah. I mean, that's totally different. I'm biased on that one, so I'm probably not the best to answer that because Dave Serrano loves the University of Tennessee. It just didn't work here. I don't think Dave Serrano ran things into the ground. I don't think he destroyed Tennessee baseball. I think Tony Vitello had some good players.
Oh yeah,
that he inherited from Dave Serrano. I just, for whatever reason, and that one will always be the head scratcher for me because I never dreamed. I thought that was the best home run hire Tennessee had ever made. I thought that was the most obvious. And that's a guy who snuck his way to running through the tee when he was an assistant coach here. I mean, he's Tennessee through and through, done a heck of a job at Johnson University, still loves Tennessee to this day, has no bitterness towards Tennessee. I'm a Dave Serrano guy. I'm a fan of Dave Serrano, so I'm probably not the most. But, I mean, he's done radio spots where he talks favorably about Tennessee. I mean, the guy loves Tennessee. Yeah. Truly does.
And the last one, another former coach, Derek Dooley. He is not a VFL because I would say, if anything, I mean, he grew up being a fan of Georgia, right? I mean, just with his dad and everything. So,
yeah, I mean, nobody's going to consider him a VFL. Yeah. He was just a coach. He was just a coach that coached here. And again, I thought he handled his exit as graciously as you can handle an exit. He was very kind to me through his exit deal. I've seen him since. He's been very polite. I don't think he has great bitterness. I think he understands the business, and he made a hire that was a bad hire that led to his demise. But yeah, I mean, he's Vince Dooley's kid. I mean, he's Georgia to the core, right? I mean,
and now he's Lamar Alexander. He's walking across the state of Georgia trying to get hired.
I mean, unless he won big here, he would never be considered a Tennessee guy, right?
No,
unless he just won big here, just because of who his father is.
He's more Georgia than Jeremy Pruitt is Alabama. And I mean, that's saying something, right? Like, the guy grew up going to Georgia games. His dad's a legend at Georgia. He's a Georgia guy.
It's like Shane Beamer. Where does Shane Beamer belong, right? Like
Shane Beamer's, he's Volnatic. I mean, his dad was there. Now, if he goes and spends 15 years at South Carolina and they win big, it's a whole different conversation.
I look forward to his opponent in the election using, like, him getting like pushed up the ramp at Mississippi State in the wheelchair in the campaign ads and all the different things. It's going to be fantastic. I will say this: if Dooley loses, it will be some crazy thing on election night, because that's what happens. It'll be like they have 13 men on the field. This thing's not going to be just he wins or loses. If he loses, it'll be crazy.
There'll be a new rule in place about, that's about right. Between 13 men on the field and that Music City Bowl deal, there'll be something crazy happening.
Yeah, all right, before this gets off the rails.
What we learned today on the podcast is Brent Hubs loves his wide open spaces by the chicks.
Yeah, and what we know is that Austin Price views me as a mouthpiece, so that's what we learned today.
Whatever, dude. I'm just busting your chops.
Way to go.
Thanks, Austin. I appreciate
anything. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I've never heard
you're
stack
so
anything, and then you kept saying it, and then one of the kids said it, and I'm like, God bless. It's everywhere.
I heard one of the kids say it today. Still weird calling them kids, and I was like, that is. I just smiled. I thought it was cool.
I'm going to start using brick by brick next, just for you guys, right?
All right, before these boys start swinging punches over the intrawebs, we'll call it a day here, the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. I'm Eric Kane, Austin Price, Brent Hubs. Appreciate you guys sending in questions, hanging out with us each and every day. Again, no better time to join us. Link up with us right now. If you're listening and watching with us right now, we thank you. But there's so much more to be had at Volquest.com. All the journals, quarters, insider notes daily, video, practice observations, constant conversation, the best online community of Tennessee volunteer fans out there. It is at Volquest.com. So come hang out with us. $1 for your first 7 days. You like us, stay with us. If not, we'll see you bye. But I appreciate you. Give us a chance. A lot going on right now over at Volquest.com. Again, appreciate you guys for being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow. This is the Volquest Mailbag Podcast.